You know, this month I thought I could probably sit back and chillax, slow down from putting out content and kind of stockpile some videos, but then MHA had to go drop this banger of a chapter, and from what I'm reading with the spoilers, 415 is going to be equally as good. Actually, Editor Ninja right here, 415 is actually out right now, but don't worry, you guys are going to get that review shortly, probably by tomorrow, which is Tuesday and or Wednesday, but stay tuned. So I'm excited as hell to come back and talk about this, but before I do, make sure you guys like and subscribe. You know the deal. Don't let me have to do this whole tango again. But anyway, let's get into talking about this amazing chapter. So we open up the chapter with this amazing shot of Deku with his new black whip control, which kind of reminds me a lot of Venom. I know a lot of people mentioned that in the comments before. And Daigo Banjo's looking at him, and he's actually surprised that he's able to move his body with using this black whip technique, and En is also a bit surprised that he's able to just kind of jump right back into the fight after hearing that. But Kudo's just sitting there kind of cheesing like, yo,
that's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Because he realizes Deku didn't just inherit all the quirks, he actually admires every single one of them, even the kind of useless one, En, but he truly admires all of them, and he even mastered them to a degree that some of the creators or the original owners of the quirk didn't even think about. But this doesn't matter, because Deku is locked in on that fight with Shigaraki right now, because he realizes that after he gives Shigaraki Gear Shift, he's going to have to figure out a way to move faster than Shigaraki is currently moving. While this is happening, I know it's a lot to follow. They're talking on the inside and fighting on the outside. It's all mess. It's hard for me to even explain. But while that's happening inside of Deku's body, Kudo is reminiscing about the time that they actually figured out that One for All can be transferred without the receiver actually wanting the quirk. And seemingly they ran several tests to figure out how the transfer works, which actually explains how they were able to pass it down the line, because that was a big question in the MHA series, and I thought that kind of just was breezed over in this part, but still very interesting to find out. But back to the boy Deku. Now he realizes that in order to pass the quirk on to Shigaraki, he's going to need to get it into his body somehow, which he realizes he's going to do using his blood. But the issue is, it's kind of hard to get a wound on Shigaraki because he keeps healing. But if you remember in the last chapter, Deku actually cut Shigaraki's arm off, so he should have been able to transfer it then. But seemingly Shigaraki actually cut his own arm off during that time because he figured something weird was going on. And he's kind of confused because he's like, Deku's in so much pain and he's trying his best to actually continue fighting while anyone in their right mind will be trying to survive. So Shigaraki just says, then so be it. I'll just keep destroying you, this country, everything. Transfer it. I will kill you. And then the two come charging headfirst right at each other. Deku launches a giant smokescreen right at Shigaraki, which En is confused because that is one of the most useless quirks at the moment. But while Shigaraki sees the smokescreen, he goes straight for the ground with the decay. But Deku actually tears out a massive chunk of the earth and lifts him right into the sky so that the decay won't have any effect. Shigaraki is a bit confused because he's wondering when he did this, and he realized that he actually sent his black chains underground before he struck so that he could lift it up, and it's actually similar to what he was doing in the UA system. But before Shigaraki could even process what's happening, his danger sense goes off and he turns around from an attack coming from behind. He reaches out and he grabs what it is, but it's apparently just Gran Torino's cape, and he decays it immediately. And En remembers that this was actually the decoy he used against Lady Nagant. But Shigaraki's still confused because he's like, wait a minute, search activated, but I don't see Deku. And he realizes that the search is actually coming from the drop of blood that's actually attached to his black whip. But before Shigaraki could even process what's happening, Deku comes in with an immediate uppercut, and then follow up a natural explanation as to what the hell just happened here. So Deku actually took a massive gamble, in my opinion, that because Search is able to see anyone that the user has laid eyes on, because Shigaraki's able to see the vestiges, then the search should still activate. So while using the smoke screen to block his vision, and then retracting the black whip immediately, he created an opening which he could come in for the attack. Which, yo, clap for my boy Deku, man. He is pulling out some big brain strategies in this fight, because I would have never thought of that, and I think that that is an amazing writing choice by Horikoshi. But enough glazing to Horikoshi, because right now Shigaraki is realizing that he is cooked, as he actually begins to do that armor that he did before, which I wish he did that sooner, because I have made a whole video talking about that in my Shigaraki versus All For One video, which y'all should go check out, by the way. But anyway, Deku comes in with another big attack. Shigaraki does try to stop it, but it's too late. My man Deku hits him square in the chest, and the transfer has begun. Now, it's a sad moment because Deku is losing one of his vestiges, but he assures them that it's okay. He's died a long time ago, and before his consciousness gets absorbed into Shigaraki, he gonna go out with a bang, and he launches straight into that Shigaraki core and gives it a massive hit. Shigaraki is reeling, Deku is surprised, and it is just an amazing picture. But as that big hit lands, something really interesting happens. Deku starts to see Shigaraki's memories, and he actually remembers the first time that he met Dabi and Toga, which, dick thing to say, by the way, Dabi, but Deku's kind of surprised because he doesn't remember these moments, so why is he seeing them? But as he sees that moment, weirdly enough, he actually sees the fight against Shoto, and then he turns his back and he sees the first time Shigaraki met Spinner, which I don't think we've ever actually seen on screen. Spinner just showed up in one chapter, and then they were just BFFs, which I do wish they explored a little bit more, but I'm gonna talk about that later. But we see that their memories are actually starting to blend together. But there's too much going on to worry about that right now. The second user's attack worked, so Deku needs to continue following up and finally end this, and that brings an end to the chapter. And oh my god, this chapter was amazing. And I think for the first time on my channel's history, I'm giving this a 10 out of 10.
Perfect.
I think that they did everything right in this chapter, and I love to see it. I know I've been a little critical of the chapters in the past, but I do think that this fight has been really amazing, and each chapter has been getting better and better each time. Now, at least at the time of me recording this, I'm aware of what's going to happen next chapter, and there's some interesting revelations that's going to happen, but I'm not going to talk about them in this video. But I am super excited to talk about some of the stuff that's happening next chapter. But for right now, only thing I really got to say is I am curious as to some of the storylines that haven't really been finished. I kind of wonder what's going to happen there. I do think they're doing an amazing job with Deku versus Shigaraki, but I'm curious as to where they're going to take some of the unfinished stories, like that current battle that's still happening with that weird baby thing. I've said it a million times, the Aizawa versus Shirakumo and Present Mike battle. Because I would really hate to cut away to that in the middle of such an epic fight that's happening right now. But that does need to be resolved in some way, and I don't want it to be resolved off screen. But I gotta give MHA its flowers where it's deserved. I do think that the conclusion to some of these arcs have been pretty good. I usually like every single conclusion. I'm usually just not a fan of how they get to that conclusion, because I don't necessarily see the big picture. So as I've said in the past, I'm just going to shut up and trust the process rather than trying to judge hypercritically at the beginning just to find out at the end they do end up resolving it. So I'm going to take responsibility and accountability for myself on that end. But let me glaze Horikoshi a little bit more, because I do have to appreciate the direction he's taken. Some of these plot lines that I didn't foresee. The Vestige World plot was pretty predictable, but the way they're going about it, I don't think I would have put together. And I do appreciate that he's not really followed like the traditional shonen convention, because I would believe that it would just ended with Bakugo and Deku fighting Shigaraki together, which thank God the Two Heroes movie kind of took that plot line. It would have still been cool to see, but I'm glad that we could both see now both endings in a way. But anyway, enough glazing. Glad to be back. Not going to see too much of me this month. I'm just going to review all the chapters for the month, and I'm going to go back to kind of stockpiling some videos, because last month I was like so backed up and I really wanted to push out so much content, but I just couldn't keep up with the workflow, especially since I don't really have an editor or anything. I'm literally doing everything. So if you don't see a lot of me the next couple of months, it's just because I'm trying to stockpile as many videos so that way when I'm ready, I can keep posting pretty frequently. But appreciate all of you guys that come back every week, like from the bottom of my heart, truly mean it. And hopefully you guys stick around. Make sure you're liking and subscribing. Make sure you're commenting. Help the boy out as much as you can. And do expect some changes coming to the channel. I have a lot that I plan on doing and a lot I plan on working on. I just couldn't get it ready for this video and probably like the next couple chapter reviews. But a lot of big changes are coming, so hopefully you guys look forward to that. But that's all I got to say for now. Stay safe, my ninjas, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.